Hello everyone. In today's video, I will continue the discussion on Goffman's concept of total institution and asylum. In the last video, I have discussed the concept of asylum in his book Asylum and the total institution. So we have found that total institution is a complete system in which the inmates, that is the patients who are mentally ill, develops a new self and regulates their everyday activity under this total institution. So which institution is total institution here? Which organization is total institution? Mental hospital is total institution here. Though Goffman also used the term total institution for other organizations like jail. He did his ethnographic study in the mental hospital, and result was his famous book Asylum. In his famous book, he discussed how mental hospital can be considered as total institution, because the patients there in the mental hospitals are considered as inmates in his study. Inmates, that is those who are patients, and the staff, organizational staff. All these elements, all these components makes this mental hospital a total institution. It is total institution because it completely reshapes a person's identity, redevelops the self, and re-socializes individual. That's why Goffman considered this organization as total institution. So in this video, today's video, I will discuss how this total institution is a suppressive one. Goffman used the term mortification for understanding the suppressive nature of the organization, suppressive nature of the total institution, how the total institution suppresses the inmates. So how it suppresses, we shall understand. The way of suppression, we shall understand. How we can differentiate individual's life before entering into the mental hospital and after entering into the mental hospital. So there is mainly two life according to Goffman. One life before entering into the mental hospital, another life just after the entering of the mental hospital. In the mental hospital, that is in the total institution, Goffman said it is the batch living. It is the batch living. Inmates live within the total institution as a batch, as inmates. They are identified with certain number, with certain case number, and registered as patient. So their life is batch living, that I will describe in course of this video. Another life is the domestic existence. Domestic existence, that is the life in the family. The individual had the family environment in the family. Individual had freeness, liberty, and individual could enjoy the affection of the family. Now, how this process started? This process is not so simple. There is entering into this batch life is not so simple. Entering into the life of total institution is not so simple. If a person is considered as mentally ill, then the family, maybe friends or the known circle, approaches the hospitals to take him or treat him as patient. So moment the person, that is mentally ill person, reaches the hospital or organization, the admission process starts, admission procedure starts. So through this admission procedure, the initiation of the new self starts or begins. Initiation of new self and surrendering of the previous self. And Goffman said, through this admission procedure, the suppression of the individual's self also begins. How? In the admission process, a person's personal details being disclosed, recorded, photograph is being clicked, person may be searched, that whether any kind of objects, any kind of materials are with him or not. Persons, the clothes are removed and imposed the institutional clothes, a kind of uniform which he gets through this admission process. So these procedures were the initiation of the new self that person is going to experience in the total institution. And according to Goffman, this is the beginning of the suppression. And in this particular process, individual lose control over his self. That is, individual self is not under his own control. It is under the control of the staff. It is under the control of the rules, regulation of the organization, mental hospital. They take care of the self. So person, that is individual, is not controlling. Individual is not able to control. Individual lost the control over his own self. So this is how the suppressions starts in the total institution. Why this suppression? Why mental hospital or total institution justifies this suppression? It is justified because individual self need to be redefined, redeveloped. Individual's identity needs to be re-established, redefined through the process of total institution. So total institution justifies their processes because the person, that is the inmate, who needs to undergo this process to develop a new self. So this is what Goffman said is the leaving of or deserting of the civilian self. That is, one has to desert the civilian self. One has to surrender the civilian self. Civilian self means a self which individual had before entering into the mental hospital, the actual self of the individual. But once the individual entered into the mental hospital or total institution, he cannot live with his civilian self. He has to adapt the self that imposes upon him by the organizational rules and regulations. Who monitors it? Staffs. Staffs strictly monitors whether the inmates or individuals are in the process of adapting the new self or not. So this process of adaptation of self also has many other important elements which we need to understand. Goffman here stated that individual person or individual inmate is aware about this change, about the change in his life. That's how self is going to change, how a new self is going to develop. And this person is made aware that his previous self was not correct. His previous self was distorted or disturbed, and he needs to adapt a new self. He needs to imbibe new attributes, new behaviors in the life. And this particular process has three methods. Through three methods, the individuals takes up the organizationally oriented or organization oriented and organizationally framed rules, regulations, organizationally framed self. Through the three methods, individuals adopt the organizationally framed the self or organizational oriented self. What are these three methods? One is rules of the house. There is rules of the total institution, where prescription and proscription, what to do, what not to do. So everything is defined. You cannot do anything outside of this rule book. So there are specific rules of living in the mental hospital. Second method is privilege method. In the privilege method, reward is given. That is, if inmate is able to uh, conform the rules, regulations set up by the organization, he is being rewarded. He gets the privilege of getting reward. So it is encouraged that inmates must conform the rules, regulations, so that they gets the privilege, they get certain kind of reward that is being defined in the rules, defined in the organizational structure. Third method is punishment. If the inmate is not able to conform the rules, if inmate fails to conform the rules, he will get punishment. So punishment is a negative, reward is positive. So inmates expect positive things in their life, so they do competition among themselves. That is why government said there is no solidarity, there is no societal solidarity inside the organization, inside the total institution. There may be understanding, there may be the understanding among the members, but they don't have any kind of societal solidarity or cultural solidarity or any kind of bonding. They do competition, they do competition for getting reward, and they do follow the rules, regulations to get rid of the punishment. So these are the three methods through which individual tries to adapt organizationally framed self, organizationally developed self. So this is what Goffman discussed about the total institution and how it suppresses individual self. So this discussion will be continued. There will be more video on this particular topic, and hope it is helping you. So thank you very much for watching.